Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first year welcoming ceremony presented by Burnett, Duckworth, and Palmer. My name is Martin Phillipson, and I'm Dean of the College of Law here at the University of Saskatchewan, and it's my privilege to welcome you all. I want to welcome students, staff, faculty, cloakers, honored guests, family and friends, and all of you watching online. We're excited to have you here today to help formally welcome our first year students to the College of Law. As we gather here today, we acknowledge we are on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis people. We pay our respect to the First Nation and Métis ancestors of this place, and we reaffirm our relationship with one another. The first year welcoming ceremony is intended to mark the beginning of a new intellectual and professional journey, one that will be both transformative and enriching for students embarking upon their legal studies. Part of the ceremony includes having our students recite a student commitment. This commitment has been derived from the University of Saskatchewan Learning Charter, which was established in 2010 to define aspirations about the learning experience that the university aims to provide. You will find the student commitment within your program, along with commitments from both the institution and our faculty. And together, these commitments define the roles each party plays in ensuring every student at the University of Saskatchewan is given an optimal learning experience. There are lots of other guests with us today, and I would like to emphasize the role of particular guests, parents, partners, grandparents, children, family, and friends. The support you have provided with these new first-year students and the support you will continue to provide to them does not go unnoticed, and we thank you for playing such an important role in the lives of each and every one of them. You might be interested to know that we are welcoming our largest ever class to the college in its 108-year history. We are welcoming 139 new students today, and that they come from all across Canada. We have 6 provinces represented, and today we have 59% of the new class signing in from Saskatchewan and 41% of you signing in from elsewhere within Canada. Our new class come from a wide variety of professional and educational backgrounds, including teaching, science, landscaping, victim support, carpentry, the Canadian military, and a hairstylist. And as you can probably tell with my COVID haircut, I could show you as a hairstylist right about now. There is one comforting thing to know, even though there's nobody in the room with me, that nobody laughs at the jokes this time either. As we go through the ceremony, please follow along in your programs for complete bios of each speaker and gown presenter. I would now like to welcome our cultural advisor, Maria Campbell, to bring greetings to you all and to say a blessing.
You know, this is kind of hard to do because it's the first time that probably you've had this kind of welcome. But it's also the first time that I've done a prayer and a welcoming on camera. And it's really hard because you really need life force to do that. I need to be able to feel you and you need to be able to feel me. So I'm going to do the best I can to welcome you to College of Law, to the Indigenous Law Centre, and to ask you to join me in talking to our Creator, and especially to our first grandmother, because for our people she's the keeper of the laws. She's all of us our first grandmother. These ribbons are for her. It's the offering to her, and it's the polka dot ribbon that I give her as an offering. So when you think about first grandmother, it's easy to relax, because usually you don't think about grandmothers-in-laws together. But whenever you're finding it difficult, just think about your grandma and know that for Indigenous people, the first grandmother was who brought the law to the people. And it makes it easier, and you can ask her for help. So let's put our minds and our hearts together and speak to her in whichever language and whichever way that we can. Thank her for the opportunity to be able to come to law school. And to thank Creator for this beautiful day and for this life. And I'm going to do it in my language, and you do it in however you want to converse with her. How kiumagat beit again. Kinaskum and matsun a bear here. Goitsim and kabek to magemia goma. Meskanao makau nama. Bituska Gweisn stwrtama gwy a swewin gawiti ha gog joy daisinim noak. Maga aiwa gawiti ha gog Joa Simpson noak. Kamioasnig meskano kausihtaatsik. Gweitsimten got the baits again. Ka temagenia. Kakaskita kapetama kan stotama kohekakio. Haumina aski kikawino kenanaskum. Kistamina iko kemiuna kuhtsekein emioaskan mako pakitskaman. Koitsimten kawitihiak. Nistanan kakoinaspatatak. Temagimnan gawi. Haumina nohkom nottokoatajohkan. Kistamina. Ikohkenen askumtaan, kiumaga pikskoista mauja. Koitsem nka pewitap matse koovikuskajak. Kakoin stohtaake kohiujassueuna. Kakaskihtaatsek piitos. Kaispetsekeetsek. Uevaavan ma. Emioassen hiik meskano kausihtaatsek. Kausihtnamavaatsek taisiin imnoa. Kawitsi ko yak kakio. Kamio paitsek kakio taisiin imnoak. Hauminen musumak kakio ka. Kakio ka kawitsi yak. Skohteema kakanoittamek. Histo aamina kaktimake egoma. Ikohke aima kakoi pikskoista magean. Ikohkekte maksiaan kawitsi hiek. Kamio paitse kahkio. Uoke kape pihtuitsek. Kapeks nomahtsek. Kio auke kahkio. Skohteema kakanoittamek. Kauhteena kawitsi haekok. Kamaa tahkup megan toasta niistä toimioassa kutaka pepihtoimakat. Haamina nuhtaa wikista kenen askumten. Pekti maagimnaan pewitsehinaan. Eksuma. Koitsimten kapeta uiek. Kautna ega uts hausteema. Ego minuhi webnassuna kawimitakok. Hauk temagimnaan. Hai.
Thank you, Maria. As the name of this event would suggest, it would not be possible without the support of the Burnett, Duckworth and Palmer law firm. BDP has committed $200,000 over 10 years to sponsor this ceremony. And today, I'm delighted to welcome Robert Martz, a partner at Burnett, Duckworth and Palmer in Calgary, to bring greetings. Rob received his BA from the University of Saskatchewan in 2001 and his Bachelor of Laws from our college in 2010, where he had the dubious distinction of being a student of mine and being a student editor when I supervised those on the law review. Despite that, Rob has still been very, very successful. So please welcome Robert Martz.
Greetings from Calgary. I'm Rob Martz, a graduate of this law school and a lawyer at Burnett, Duckworth & Palmer LLP, the sponsor of this event. BDP is very proud of its association with the University of Saskatchewan, and we have a number of alumni at our firm, including the former managing partner, Gary Bugeaud, who, along with his wife Tammy, have established a scholarship that will be awarded. It's the first year class. It's exciting for me to have an opportunity to address the students at the U of S, as I did my undergrad and law school here. As you'll soon find out, law school is a great experience, particularly at the University of Saskatchewan. There's a level of camaraderie and support among the law students that's found nowhere else in Canada. While law school will be tough at times, the support of your fellow students will help get you through that, and you'll establish friendships and relationships that will last long after you graduated from here. In my experience, you're embarking on a legal education at one of the best law schools in the country. I hope you have as great a time here as I did, and good luck from BDP.
Thank you, Rob. And I want to echo something that Rob said in terms of the sort of friendships that you make at law school will last a lifetime. Much to my horror, I realized that last summer, it was the 30th anniversary of my graduation from law school, and I'm still in touch with many of my classmates from England, which is a long, long way away from here, and 30 years ago was a long time. But the bonds you forge in law school are incredibly strong. It's a challenging 3 years. It's 3 years of professional and intellectual development, and you will build lifelong friendships and relationships during that time. I'd now like to welcome the Honourable Robert Richards, Chief Justice of Saskatchewan, to bring greetings from the Saskatchewan Court of Appeal.
On behalf of my colleagues on the Court of Appeal, I am delighted to welcome the class of 2023 to the study of law at the University of Saskatchewan. You know, every day and in every corner of the world, lawyers are doing important work. They defend the innocent and they safeguard their rights. They build and maintain the machinery on which the economy rests and is grounded. They help people to arrange their family and personal affairs. Everywhere we look, lawyers are intimately involved in making communities work. In big ways and in small, they are on the front lines of the ongoing struggle to protect liberty, to ensure justice, and to promote social order and harmony. By deciding to enter law school, you have elected to become part of this amazing and amazingly important project. Over the next 3 years, you will learn a great deal. Lecture by lecture, course by course, and term by term, you'll acquire an understanding of the rules and systems that make our world run. Your professors will give you an intellectual toolkit that will serve you well for the rest of your professional lives, no matter what career paths you might choose to take. So please accept my very best wishes for success and satisfaction in your studies. These next 3 years will be memorable ones, and trust me, they'll mark you for life. Enjoy them and take from your University of Saskatchewan experience all that you can.
Thank you, Chief Justice Richards. I would now like to welcome the Honourable Justice Natasha Crooks, another former student of mine, to bring greetings from the Court of Queen's Bench.
Greetings, first-year law students, family and friends, faculty and staff at the College of Law, and all others who have made time to observe this important ceremony. I'm privileged to bring greetings on behalf of the Court of Queen's Bench for Saskatchewan. Last year, I had the opportunity to attend this ceremony in person, and it's incredible how much our world has changed between that year and this year. But it is no less significant to recognize the accomplishments, the dedication, and the hard work that you have put in achieving this goal and starting in your legal education. When I thought about what to share with you today, it reminded me of my first year of law school, and within days of beginning, the events of 9/11 happened. Those were also events that changed our world and changed my thinking as to how my legal education was going to unfold. I anticipate that many of you will be impacted deeply by the ongoing events with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic, regardless of what personal beliefs you may carry regarding the current situation. But it's important to be mindful of the impacts this has on our world and how this may shape your thinking and may shape your approach to your community and to your world as you move forward. It's important that you don't feel locked in to a certain area of law or to a certain type of practice. You are going to learn so much about yourself, about your thinking, and about who you want to be in your career as you go through law school. There's nothing wrong with taking risks, with trying different approaches, with trying different careers as you go through. I know for myself, I've had many different careers and non-typical careers for the position that I've ended up in. Take risks if you feel that you are not finding passion and interest in what you're doing, because it's so important to be engaged in what you are working on and to have a passion and an interest, because it's what keeps you young and keeps you energized in your work. Always move forward in your career, but don't be afraid to make changes. If I could leave you with one final word, it is to appreciate the people who have helped you to achieve this goal, whether that be family, friends, or career mentors that you've met along the way. We never reach our accomplishments on our own. Take the time to thank them and to let them know that they've been important in helping you achieve where you are today. With that, I wish you the best of luck. I extend my heartfelt congratulations, and I thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Thank you, Justice Crooks. I would now like to call upon the Honourable Judge Michelle Brass to bring greetings from the Saskatchewan Provincial Court.
Welcome to law school, and congratulations. I provide you welcoming remarks on behalf of the Provincial Court of Saskatchewan. After practicing law for 20 years, I was appointed to the Provincial Court in November of 2018. I had been called to the Saskatchewan Bar in 1998, and I had graduated from this law school in 1997. I had entered law school at age 30, and I took up the challenge and succeeded, although I'm still not used to being called Judge Brass. But in any case, I offer you a few insights on the start of your legal journey. First, know that law school is part of a much larger process where the lion's share of your legal career follows law school. These 3 years will fly by, although I do remember feeling that it would never end. You'll live and breathe law school as if nothing else exists in the world. But that's just an illusion. Before you know it, 20 years will have passed. Then you may have been running a successful law firm and possibly coming onto the bench. When I think back to law school, I think of some of my professors who had a huge impact on my legal career. I remember Professor Howard McConnell, who was a fuddy-duddy kind of guy and a walrus of a man with his long mustache and bald head and barrel of a chest. He always wore baggy sweatpants and an old sweater that always had crumbs on it. I remember seeing him one day walking down the hallway in his old sweatpants, but he had on this time a nice shirt, tie, and suit jacket. He informed us that he was on his way to a TV interview and was only going to be filmed from the waist up. So, since I'm filming my welcome remarks to you from my own home, I completely understand my old professor's style. Other professors were terrifying or perplexing. For crim law, I had Professor Schmeiser. I found him to be very intimidating. He seemed to pick on me by always calling on me to comment on the cases that we were studying. In September and October of my first year of law school, I shook in my seat as I tried to provide comments. You see, I was not a natural public speaker. By the end of the semester, I realized that Professor Schmeiser's approach motivated me to thoroughly read the cases, to understand what they were talking about, and to be prepared for any of his questions. By the end of the year, I was able to speak in public without sweating it anymore. I may not have appreciated his Socratic method, but I came to realize that his methodology contributed to the development of my legal career in a significant way that still equips me today. I also remember other professors such as Sugage Youngblood Henderson. Professor Henderson is a true scholar who brings great knowledge and wisdom to the law school in the area of Indigenous law. Such scholars teach law students to think outside the box, which is an essential tool for the development and evolution of laws in Canada and abroad. Along with professors who will have a huge impact on the development of your legal career are your classmates and the people who work within the legal community. It is extremely important to remember that the legal community is relatively small in Saskatchewan and even on a national level. How you treat others and your level of emotional intelligence will be observed and responded to accordingly by your classmates and by the legal community. When I went to law school, there was not much diversity in the school or in the legal community, such as the members of the bar, Saskatchewan Bar, or on the bench. Thankfully, this is changing. For instance, 4 Indigenous judges were appointed to the Provincial Court of Saskatchewan in the last 2 years. We are able to be role models for all Saskatchewan communities, Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities alike. In knowing that the diversity of the legal community is finally catching up with the diversity of the Canadian demographics facing the legal system, you can be assured that each person who is here today is meant to be here. And with that, on behalf of the Provincial Court, I welcome you in your first year of law school. We look forward to working with you as students, lawyers, justice workers, and one day as colleagues on the bench. All the best to each one of you.
Thank you, Judge Brass. I would now like to welcome Mr. Gerald Taggart, QC, to bring greetings on behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan.
Hello, my name is Gerald Taggart. It's my privilege, as the current president of the Law Society of Saskatchewan, to welcome you to your first year at the University of Saskatchewan Law School. I'm a proud alumnus, and I'm always happy to participate in events at the law school. Let me begin by saying a few things about the Law Society. As the president of the Society, I'm the chair of the Society's Board of Directors. The Law Society is the licensing body for lawyers in Saskatchewan. In order to practice law in Saskatchewan, you need to become a member of the Law Society. So in early 2023, I anticipate that many of you will be applying for membership. Part of the Law Society's responsibility as the legal services regulator is to ensure each member of the Society meets acceptable standards in the delivery of legal services. Your next 3 years are going to provide the foundation each of you requires to practice law in a way that meets those standards. In a recent address I prepared for those from this past year's graduating class who are now articling in Saskatchewan, I spoke about the impact of the pandemic. I want to reiterate some of those comments today. You've entered law school in the strangest of times. I realize the restrictions imposed on all of us in our personal and professional lives create a level of uncertainty and present significant challenges. However, I firmly believe we will not just survive this, but that the legal profession will emerge stronger and better for having had this experience. We're being forced to rethink the way in which we study law and practice law. Courts and tribunals are adjusting their systems. As a practicing profession, we're overcoming our reticence to embrace technology and the greater effectiveness it can deliver in how we deliver our legal services. Why do I think this is important for you? Because I believe we won't ever practice law exactly as we did before our world here in Saskatchewan changed in March of this year. Not because we can't. Eventually we'll be able to resume life as it was, but because we'll choose not to go back. Since many of the changes we've made in response to the pandemic are grounded in technology, witness the means by which I'm talking to you today, you have an advantage over the generations ahead of you in the profession. By and large, you have little fear of technology and the changes it brings. This means you can not just adapt to change more readily than old guys like me, but that you can design and lead that change. Despite the personal hardship and the tragic consequences brought about by the coronavirus here in Saskatchewan and worldwide, I remain optimistic. These are exciting times, times of great potential. Your 3 years in law school will go by quickly. Based on my experience, your entire career in law will seem to go by quickly. There are likely several reasons for this. One is that we tend to get a bit too busy in both our professional and personal lives. However, I think the main reason time flies is that most of us who are privileged to study law and then apply our legal education in whatever way we do, find our work interesting and satisfying. One of the many pleasures of being part of the legal profession in Saskatchewan is that we're small enough to create a sense of community within the profession. I look forward to coming to know as many of you as I can, whether it's virtually for the time being or in person once we return to more normal lives. In the meantime, congratulations on your acceptance to law school. Welcome to the legal profession. Good luck with your studies, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Gerald, for those remarks. I'm now delighted to introduce Peter Stoychev, President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Saskatchewan, to bring greetings on behalf of the university.
Hello, I am Peter Stoychev, President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Saskatchewan. To our students, faculty, staff, family, and friends, I'm honored to greet you and to virtually take part in the College of Law's first-year welcoming ceremony on behalf of the University of Saskatchewan. First of all, let us acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. We pay our respects to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationships with one another. I'd like to congratulate you all for taking the steps to further your studies here at the University of Saskatchewan during these unprecedented times. Your commitment to education at one of our most celebrated colleges is commendable, and you deserve high praise for your hard work getting to this point in your academic careers. This is the start of an exciting new chapter in your lives, and we are happy to have you join our university community for what promises to be a memorable year that will begin to help shape your future. The University of Saskatchewan's College of Law was the first law school in Western Canada when it began, and it's wonderful that you have chosen to earn your Juris Doctor degree here at the University of Saskatchewan. And as a student here, you will learn from some of the brightest legal scholars in the country. You will have access to centers and programs that are held in high regard, including Classic, the Indigenous Law Center, and Create Justice. Your entrance to law school also means that you are now part of an outstanding community of professionals. When you graduate, you will join a distinguished group of USask Law School alumni, including a list of celebrated nation builders, such as Prime Minister John Diefenbaker, who, among other achievements, was responsible for the Bill of Rights, Ellen Schmeiser, who played a key role in Matrimonial Property Act development, Ted Hughes, the chief adjudicator in residential school settlement claims, Tilly Taylor, the first chairperson of the Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission, and Paul Binder Carr-Shergill, the first Turban Sikh Supreme Court judge in Canada. The work and commitment of these leaders, along with the achievements of so many other outstanding individuals, has built the college's reputation. You will soon join that distinguished group when you begin your own careers in law in the coming years. As a member of the U15, the University of Saskatchewan is one of the top 15 research-intensive medical doctoral universities in the country, providing you with every advantage as a student here. The degrees you earn with your hard work at the University of Saskatchewan will pay dividends for years to come as you set out to be what the world needs as the next generation of legal trailblazers. Your community needs your courage, your passion, and your leadership now more than ever. On behalf of the University of Saskatchewan, let me say welcome and congratulations, not only on beginning this important next step in your education, but also on your role as emerging legal professionals. Thank you, and welcome to the University of Saskatchewan's College of Law.
Thank you, President Stoychev. And I want to echo some of his remarks in terms of one of the great things about coming to this law school and graduating from this law school is joining the thousands and thousands of alumni from this college Wherever you go in Canada, and I told this to the first-year students on the very first day of law school, wherever you go in Canada, you will find a U of S Law alumni pretty quickly, and they will welcome you like family. As soon as they know that you are a U of S Law grad, you will be regarded, there will be an instant bond between you. And yes, we're very proud, as I said to our first years on the first day of school, we're very proud of all our famous alumni, but we're also very, very proud of the thousands and thousands of lawyers that we've graduated who have gone on to serve their clients and their communities without great public fanfare. It's a privilege to be dean of a school that values the work and the role of lawyer as public servant. And that is why we mark today as your entry to the profession and your entry to a life of public service where you will serve your clients and your communities both in paid terms and unpaid terms. You will be given a skill set by this school that will hold you in good stead for the rest of your career, and you will serve your clients, your communities very well and in line and in partnership with many, many of the thousands of alumni across the country and around the world. And I guarantee that I'm right when I say wherever you go in Canada, you will meet a U of S Law grad and they will treat you like family. And on that note, I'm delighted to welcome somebody I first met 30 years ago on his very first day of law school here at the University of Saskatchewan. And I'm delighted to welcome him as our keynote speaker this year, Mr. Brad Berg, who is a partner at Blake's in Toronto and a member of the Dean's Advisory Council. Brad's practice includes both complex commercial cases and precedent-setting public interest litigation. He has appeared as lead counsel across the country, including regularly at the Supreme Court of Canada. And since 2010, he has been the practice group leader for Blake's litigation in Toronto. And if you want an embodiment of the lawyer as public servant, have a listen to the list of other things that Brad does when he's not necessarily lawyering. Brad is a past president of the Advocates Society, the principal association of litigation counsel in Canada. He's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators in London. He's taught trial advocacy at Osgoode Hall Law School for 6 years. And he's currently a contributing editor to Canadian Legal Practice, published by Butterworth's LexisNexis. Amongst other things, he was co-chair of a 2015 joint task force of the Indigenous Bar Association, the Advocates Society, and the Law Society of Ontario to develop guidelines for lawyers working with Indigenous peoples, a national project in response to the report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Growing up at a fishing camp north of Dorintosh, Saskatchewan, Brad summered and articled with Cariou, Partika, and Francis in Meadow Lake before clerking at the Court of Appeal for Saskatchewan. His time at law school included several moot court successes, including as part of the Canadian and World Championship team at the Jessup International Law Moot in 1991 in Washington, D.C., and the Canadian Championship team at the Gale Cup Moot in 1992, where he also won Best Oralist. I was there in Toronto to watch the team participate that year, and Brad's advocacy skills were simply outstanding. He had a Supreme Court judge who was chair of the bench eating out of the palm of his hand within minutes. I would like to point out, however, that Brad fared very less well in organized sports. Brad is a member of the Dean's Advisory Council for the University of Saskatchewan College of Law and a proud U of S alumnus. Among other things, Brad and his husband, Brian Rolfus, also a College of Law alumnus, have established an annual scholarship at the College of Law, recognizing upper year achievement by LGBTQ+ students and their allies. He is a director for the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health Foundation Board, supporting mental health across Canada. He is closely involved with several other community agencies, including the Canadian Civil Liberties Association and the Metropolitan Community Church of Toronto. He is indeed the embodiment of lawyer as public servant, and I'm also proud to call him my friend. Please welcome Brad Berg.
Hello, my name is Brad Berg. Thank you, and miigwech. Let me start by joining the other speakers here today and all of the alumni of this great college in welcoming the first-year class to the College of Law at the University of Saskatchewan. You will become the class of 2023, only 31 short years after I graduated from this same law school. Trust me when I say it feels like it was yesterday. You won't believe me, but it does feel like it was yesterday. Congratulations. The fact that you were admitted to this college over the many hundreds of other applicants is itself an achievement of which you should already be proud. If you haven't done this yet, take a moment today and breathe that in. Breathe it in and reflect on it the same way that you did when you opened the envelope or you got the call saying you were admitted. Be proud and celebrate it. While I enjoyed and learned a great deal in my life both before and after my time at this college, I have to say I absolutely loved law school, and you will too. You are about to start 3 of the most important years of your life, 3 years that you will look back on with a great sense of accomplishment and pride and fondness. You'll wonder how you got through it, but you will. And those 3 years will propel you to do great things for your clients, for your community, and for some of you, for the country. Your families are, I hope, watching with you, or at least reflecting on their roles in helping you get to where you are today. You're in this position, a member of the first-year class at the oldest law school in Western Canada, because of, I suspect, in many cases, their hard work, encouragement, and effort as much as your own. So, congratulations to the friends and family of the first-year class. Thank you for giving the College of Law the most precious thing you could. These people, these future lawyers, and all of the promise and talent that they bring with them. So thank you. It is my great honor and pleasure to be your keynote speaker. I am mindful that you will hear from fantastic people today, not me, but others, and that past speakers for this keynote address have included famous judges and alumni. Most recently, last year, Justice Gerald Moran, who was the first Indigenous Queen's Counsel in Saskatchewan and who served on the provincial court for many years. And just before him, my classmate, Michelle Hollins, also a graduate of the class of 1992, my class. And she somehow managed to excel at law school while raising twin daughters as a single mother. She then had a great legal practice in Calgary, somehow also balanced that with becoming the national president of the Canadian Bar Association, and she now sits on the Court of Queen's Bench of Alberta. So I'm mindful that those are all very big shoes to fill. I'm not a judge, not a famous prof, but I suppose I represent those many alumni from this college who have persisted with the private practice of law. Just as I enjoyed law school at this college, I have always enjoyed practicing law and serving clients. For the last 25 years, that practice has been at Blake Castles in Graydon, where I am right now. A little bit more of that in a minute. One of Canada's largest national law firms. For the last 10 years, I've been head of litigation for Blake's in Toronto. So I suppose I also represent the alumni of this college who left Saskatchewan and who are doing things elsewhere. We don't just export potash, we export other things too. But somehow all of us who leave the province keep coming home, and we stay connected with Saskatchewan and with this college, and regardless of where you end up, I encourage you to do the same. As for my day job, I often tell people that litigation is like a chess game. Sometimes it's a long game, sometimes it's a short one, but it's always interesting. For the clients, it's not a game. The stakes are high, and you need to treat it seriously for them. It helps to be curious. It helps to be oriented toward learning, whether that's a new client, a new industry, a new area of law that you haven't examined in detail before. And if you come into it with that mindset, your job will never be boring. That brings me to the core of my remarks today. As you will see throughout the next 3 years, and for many years afterwards, law is often presented as a tension between competing principles. In the easy cases, these competing principles are actually aligned, and so the answer is straightforward. But you're not here for the easy cases. Your exams will not be about the easy cases. You're here for the hard cases. And in those hard cases, you will read them and you'll read scholarly writing, and they'll ask you questions such as the following. What should prevail in a given situation? The law or the equities? Or, in comparative law cases at the Supreme Court of Canada, you'll see the court balancing common law principles that are shared by 9 provinces and 3 territories with the Civil Code of Quebec. In Indigenous law cases, increasingly and finally, you will see judges balancing and respecting Indigenous legal orders together with non-Indigenous laws of Canada, largely British in origin and in many cases now outdated. In legal philosophy courses, you will encounter the debate between legal positivism, searching for objectivity, and more subjective critical legal theories, feminist and otherwise, where the law is revealed to be less determinate. And then finally, in less esoteric situations, you will be given a case and you will look at it, and it'll be the night before the exam, and you'll ask yourself, what should matter most here? The law or the facts? The law or the facts? These tensions in our legal systems between competing principles will follow you your entire career, and they have followed me. Today, I want to address two other competing principles that often are presented in tension with each other, but that can, I suggest, work in parallel to provide you with a more fulfilling legal career. The two principles are, first, adaptability, that is willingness to change, readiness to change, flexibility, and secondly, authenticity, staying true to yourself. Both concepts will challenge you and you will be challenged by them, but they will reward you throughout your time at law school and beyond. So let me start with adaptability. If there's one thing that the year 2020 has taught all of us, it's the importance of being flexible and adapting to changing circumstances. The uncertainty, anxiety, and profound losses caused by the COVID-19 virus and the ongoing global pandemic have tested us all. Back in January or even March, when the pandemic began, who could have known that you would be starting your law school career virtually and that I would be talking to you via videotape? Who would have known that? Who could have predicted that entire countries and economies would shut down and pivot? This is the word we hear, pivot, adaptability, that the economies and countries would pivot to other things and restart in other ways. For me at Blake's in Toronto, here, where I'm speaking to you from, the pandemic hit hard and early. One of the lawyers in our firm tested positive for COVID-19 in early March, following the return from a case in Europe. We found out on Saturday, March 14th. By the next day, Sunday morning, the entire floor that lawyer was working on had been shut down and cleaned. And our entire litigation group, my group, which is about 80 people, including all staff and lawyers, we were working from home the very next day. Within a week, the entire Toronto office of Blake's, about 600 people, started working from home, which we have been doing throughout largely, and we're largely still doing today in September, and we expect to be doing that for a while more. I am here today on the 40th floor of Blake's at the corner of King and Bay in Toronto, only with special permission. In fact, I wore my mask to walk in, and when I'm done this, I'll put my mask back on and go out into the hall. You can shoot a cannonball here, no one's here, but I wanted you to have a sense of where I worked and was speaking to you from. Most of the other large law firms in Toronto, the accounting firms, the banks, other companies in high-rises are doing the same thing as us. We just can't figure out elevators and how to safely accommodate a full return to office. So it's a work in progress. We're being adaptable. The good news is that for that lawyer who tested positive early, her symptoms were mild. She's fully recovered. We know, of course, across Canada that many others have not been that fortunate. But the point that I wanted to raise with you today is that our firm, many others, many businesses, and the legal profession itself adapted very quickly. Who would have thought that courts across Canada could modernize so rapidly? As early as April, in some places, virtual hearings and trials were common, particularly for urgent matters like criminal and family cases. By the summer, courts and counsel had become proficient on things like Zoom and Skype and WebEx and Microsoft Teams and things that, frankly, a lot of us didn't know even a month or two earlier. But we all have them now. We're all using the new technologies, and the entire justice system across Canada has jumped ahead years, if not decades, in a span of 4 or 5 months. Today, in most courts across Canada, and I expect you'll hear from some other speakers during orientation on this, virtual hearings are readily available. And in many cases, we expect them to become the default even after the pandemic is over. I've conducted discoveries and appeals and hearings and motions all by video, and while it's not perfect, we've all become quite proficient at it. Next month, just by way of an example, on a case I'm on, instead of having 4 weeks of cross-examinations where experts from all over the world would fly into Toronto and we would line them up sort of back-to-back, day by day, in person, we're going to do that all by video. There'll be no plane trips, there'll be no hotel expenses, no need for carbon offsets for all of those planes. This evolution in the practice of law has a tremendous potential for saving time and expense for our clients, for the system as a whole, for taxpayers, for reducing the environmental footprint of legal services, and most importantly, increasing access to justice for people who can't haul themselves down to the corner of King and Bay, and why should they, to have their case heard. So this is a good thing, but none of this would have happened, or at least would never have happened as quickly or as smoothly if lawyers and judges were not adaptable people. Necessity might be the mother of invention, which it was here. But this adaptability moved it, and flexibility moved it along quickly and smoothly. You've already been tested on this point. It must be very difficult to begin your law school career virtually, especially for those of you who are not from Saskatoon or from Saskatchewan, and you're sitting at home and you're watching me and trying to make sense of what does law school mean for you, and my heart goes out to you. The adaptability of a legal education, though, combined with an appreciation for real facts and investigation, not fake news, but real facts, real logic and rationality, will ensure that you will excel, that you will be ready to pivot and enjoy law school, not just survive, but thrive. That will happen. May not seem like it right now, but it will happen. And after graduation, adaptability will let you do what you want with this tremendous opportunity that a law degree gives you, to go where the work is, to go where you're needed, to practice in the most modern and relevant ways, and to provide the best legal services to your clients and to your communities. So that's adaptability. Now that brings me to the second, what is often thought of as a competing principle, which is authenticity. In all of this change, in all of this unpredictability, sometimes anxiety, we need to remember the importance of being authentic. It's trite to say that you need to be yourself because everyone else is taken, but like most cliches, it exists for a reason. Studying law, debating cases, trying to figure out where you fit in the legal world will be daunting. Your egos will take a hit, particularly when you get your first set of marks. I remember seeing my first C at Christmas in first year, and I didn't love it, and you won't love it if that happens to you. But we pick ourselves back up, and we get through it, and we learn. Many of you will be used to being the smartest person in any class. You'll now find out there are 50 others who thought that same thing and who can give you a run for your money on any exam or paper. The hours will be long, the concepts complex, the demands will be high. For those of you who are also raising families while doing law school, or like me, putting yourself through law school with a part-time job, those demands will be even higher. The study of law, like the practice of law, is not easy, but you knew that. And that's, I think, why you wanted to be where you are. So you'll do it. But in all of that pressure, remember who you are. Be true to yourself, recognizing that it's not static and that we're all a work in progress. Be empathetic to that progress in yourself and to others around you during law school. To put it mildly, pause for effect. That's the effect. It was not a straight line from where I grew up at a fishing camp north of Meadow Lake in Saskatchewan to practicing law on Bay Street. There were twists and turns along the way, and I wanted to share one of them with you. Before law school, at high school and in the College of Commerce in Saskatoon, I was pretty much head down and work focused. I compressed the 4 years of commerce into 3 by taking classes in the summer while also working full time. I was a serious guy. By the time I hit my law school orientation, I was already researching law firms in Calgary, trying to figure out where I wanted to go. I was goal-oriented and I was linear. Perhaps this sounds familiar to some of you today. But life is not linear, as I found out. During the course of law school, perhaps with my horizons opened, perhaps with that first constitutional law class or jurisprudence course, rights and freedoms and liberties in my mind, I began to deal with the fact that I was gay. Perhaps it's something I always knew in the back of my head, maybe not. It's hard to say. As many of you will know, orientation, gender identity, all of these things are complicated. For all 3 years at law school, I had a wonderful girlfriend, I had a great group of friends, and an awesome family back home. Everything was neat and tidy and planned and linear, all of which, of course, the real world is not. In retrospect, I wish I would have come out earlier, but I know that I just wasn't ready then. I needed some time away from my perfect little world and straight lines to get myself ready for myself. After law school, I took a gap year to backpack in Europe, something that was really rarely done in the early 90s, and certainly not by somebody without the resources to do that. My parents were freaked out and wondered, when was this kid going to start getting a paycheck? Maybe not surprisingly, I ran out of money 6 months into my year off. I came back, I articled at my hometown firm in Meadow Lake, and I came out. I came out to everybody. The full implications of that decision are something for another day, perhaps over a cold beverage or two, which, as I recall, was always a big part of orientation week. The short story is that we're all different in some way, and how we choose to express that difference is up to us. In my case, being out and gay was hard at times, for sure, and I have stories on that. I probably lost some opportunities, but then I probably gained others. I did end up getting the big job in Calgary that I wanted. I got to the firm I wanted, where I still am today. And I met somebody, also a guy from Saskatchewan, in fact, another graduate from the college named Brian, and we decided we wanted to live together in Toronto, and so Blake's transferred my position from Calgary here. My partner, now husband, and I decided to use our positions of difference, being out and gay in corporate Canada in the early 90s, to try to help to make some changes. Many others were doing this at the time. It really does take a village to affect social change, so we were proud to be part of that village. We think we helped in a small way, extending same-sex benefits when that was still radical, getting equal marriage recognized by the courts and ultimately by Parliament when that was radical. And in fact, when we had our union ceremony, our commitment ceremony in 1998, 5 years before same-sex marriage was legal, we decided to have it back home. And we stay married, even though it wasn't legal marriage. We got married at St. Andrew's United Church on the U of S campus, which will be known to some of you. We also recognize, though, that we held these positions of privilege. I mean, look at where I'm talking to you from, right? So the kid from the fishing camp is now in this King and Bay environment. So we wanted to use that privilege for good. And we took on a bunch of things. I did a number of pro bono cases, and I still do. I took them on even as a junior lawyer. We pushed the envelope at our firms. We tested our colleagues, and they grew with us. And on that note, let me just sidebar, expect the best in people. Challenge them, expect the best in people, even where you think an environment will be unfriendly. And you will be rewarded and impressed almost all of the time, and you will learn from them. We used our corporate positions to advocate more broadly, not just for LGBTQ mandates, but also Indigenous initiatives, mental health, and other things that we've done in the community. We knew from the start that social justice for us has to include social justice for everybody, and that this fight is not over, and maybe it'll never be over. And if there's anything that the summer of 2020 told us, in addition to the pandemic, it's the Black Lives Matter movement and the BIPOC movement for Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and others, frankly, who are left behind. We all need to be in this together, and we all need to contribute. Advocacy matters, showing up matters, keep showing up in law school and beyond. Representation matters. And in many ways, those social justice initiatives have been the most gratifying parts of our professional lives. We continue to have our day jobs. I love my paying clients. I would never give that up. It makes everything else possible. But we're not simply a billable hour, and we're not simply the work on our desk. We're bigger. And you have the opportunity now and the responsibility also to be bigger, as you know. So I raise this example today of my sort of twist and turn as a reminder to myself and hopefully to you that there are rarely straight lines between points A and B, not in my life and probably not in yours. The best you can do is be authentic along the way, allowing for the people we are, and as works in progress, the people we are becoming. Adaptable, but also authentic. It has been my great pleasure to speak with you today. I hope I've shared something of interest. And I welcome you again to the first year class. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you, Brad. That's a fantastic speech. I want to echo two things that Brad said, one to echo and one a little anecdote. Law school can eat you up. You will become obsessed with the study of your law, your classmates and others, and you'll talk about nothing else. Maintain your identity. Maintain the things that you do outside of law school. You're still the same human being you were when you came to law school. It may change you somewhat, but you can't let it change you too much. Maintain your identity, maintain those friendships, maintain the activities that you do, and make sure that you remain authentic to yourself. As I said to the first year students at the very first day of class, define success yourself. Find your own definition of success. The traditional definition of success may well have been partner in a large law firm. Brad embodies that, but as he showed, he took a very interesting route to get there. But there are many, many ways to be successful as a lawyer. And so think about that yourself and think about what you want to do with the skills that we provide you and who you wish to help. There are many, many versions of success. So be authentic to yourself and find your own definition of success and follow that path. And then you will be happy and then you will be successful. The other anecdote that Brad talked about getting his first C at Christmas, purely by chance this week, I had a former student who shall remain nameless. If you want to donate a few $100 to the college, I might reveal his name to you. But he was cleaning out his basement, I think, and he came across his first year Christmas property exam, and he got a 62, a C-, which I think is a grade he'd never even seen before in his entire life. And that student went on to graduate as the gold medalist of the college. And so law school will challenge you, and those first grades will be grades you may not have seen before. Again, as Brad said, this year there's almost 70 people in your section, and 69 of them are just as smart as you are, maybe smarter. And it will be a challenge to your ego that you perhaps don't get the A's that you're used to. But part of this is that resilience and that adaptability. I told the first year students again, you're learning a new language in the language of law, and it will take time to get used to that language and become fluent in it. But what you need is to find the support of your friends, your family, and your professors and faculty to get you through. As I said at the start of the year, the hardest thing about law school is getting in. There's over 800 people who would have liked to have been here in this room today who aren't here. And the second hardest thing is getting through first year. After that, I think you've built the skills, you've built the skill sets, and you can succeed. But again, I want to thank Brad for a fantastic speech and to echo much of what he said. We are incredibly lucky to have a number of College of Law alumni, staff, and students such as Brad, as well as representatives from the legal community to help us this year in welcoming our first-year students. In a pre-COVID world, we would have presented each of our students with a black gown on this stage, but those gowns always have to be returned. This year, we've sent you a pin, which you get to keep. The gowns, and now the pins, are symbolic of the beginning of your journey into law school and symbolic of your entry into the profession. And later on this afternoon, in smaller groups through WebEx meetings, you will recite the student commitment and you will pin yourself, for lack of a better phrase. Just be careful with that. Before we introduce the first-year class, I would like to thank the following alumni for their participation in this year's virtual event. Tom Colopi, Dusty Ernwine, Lindsay Nibbs, David Conkin, Sarah Jane Nussbaum, Benjamin Ralston, Nicole Saura, Ian Wagner, Christopher Weitzel, and Kelly Wootany. Now please join these alumni and me as we welcome the first-year students.
My name is Tom Colopy, class of 2007, and I'm a partner at Norton Rose Fulbright. It's my great pleasure to welcome the following students to the College of Law.
Hi, I'm Dusty Ernwine, class of 2016, currently an associate with McKercher LLP. I'd like to welcome the following students to the College of Law.
My name is Lindsay Nibbs, class of 2018. I am currently an associate at Blake, Castles & Graydon, LLP. I am pleased to welcome the following students to the College of Law.
My name is David Conkin, class of 2016, and an associate in Denton's Calgary office. It is with great pleasure that I welcome the following students to the College of Law.
My name is Sarah J Nussbaum, class of 2014. I'm currently a PhD candidate at Osgoode Hall Law School, and in 2021 I'll be joining the Faculty of Law at the University of New Brunswick as an assistant professor. I'm pleased to welcome the following students to the College of Law.
My name is Benjamin Ralston. I'm a sessional lecturer and a PhD student at the University of Saskatchewan College of Law, and I'm pleased to welcome the following students.
My name is Nicole Sarr. I'm from the class of 2009. I'm currently the MLA for Regina Douglas Park, and I'm so pleased to welcome the following students to the College of Law.
Hi, I'm Ian Wagner, class of 1995. I'm currently the president of the Saskatchewan Trial Lawyers Association, and on my own behalf and behalf of my organization, I'd like to welcome the following students to the College of Law at the University of Saskatchewan.
Hello, I am Christopher Weitzel, class of 2003. I am the Associate General Counsel, Corporate for Saskatchewan Government Insurance, and I am also the Canadian Bar Association Saskatchewan Branch President. I would like to welcome the following students to the College of Law.
Hi, my name is Kelly Watney, class of 2017. I am a sole practitioner at Watney Law Office. I am pleased to welcome the following students to the College of Law.
Well, what a handsome bunch. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm round of applause as I present to you the College of Law class of 2023. We'll now move to the awards portion of our event. And I want to begin by saying that the College of Law is grateful to all of our donors for gifts of all sizes. The college relies on the financial support of alumni and friends to assist us in funding bursaries, scholarships, and many other student initiatives. For some students, without the financial support that they receive via gifts from donors and alumni, law school would not be an option. And I want to thank all of our donors and alumni again for their generosity towards the college. With that, I will begin the presentation of our entrance awards. The Gary and Tammy Bugeaud Centennial Entrance Award goes to Sophia Roth. The Law Society of Saskatchewan Scholarship goes to Eric Turcotte. The William Elliott Scholarship is presented to Amy Miller. The MLT Aikens LLP Scholarship in Law is presented to Samuel Rezazadeh. The first Harris, Loretta, and Raymond Earl Parr Memorial Scholarship goes to Bailey Brewster. The second Harris, Loretta, and Raymond Earl Parr Memorial Scholarship goes to Liam McDonald. The Brian Crane Gowling WLG Scholarship in Indigenous Law is presented to Jory Halcrow. The Morris and Jackie Shumiacha Scholarship in Law goes to Afsane Amirzadeh. The Miller-Thompson National Entrance Scholarship is presented to Cameron Walters. The Law Foundation of Saskatchewan 25th Anniversary Scholarship goes to Serena Saini. The J. Barry Thompson Scholarship is presented to Caleb Bushane. The Mohinder Chada Award in Law goes to Jordana Wilson. The Justice John H. Marr Memorial Scholarship is presented to Brianna Wheaton. The Thomas P. and Peter S. Dice the P.E. Mackenzie Entrance Scholarship goes to Hong Teng. The Thomas P. and Peter S. Dice WWH Memorial Scholarship is presented to Jared Uffelman. The Pete Trocchi Memorial Award is presented to David Werner. The first James M. Stevenson Entrance Scholarship goes to Susanna Lorek. The second James M. Stevenson Entrance Scholarship goes to Todd Uremcio. The first Eldon Williams Scholarship goes to William Breckenridge. The second Eldon Williams Scholarship goes to Whitney Teed. And our last award and the third Eldon Williams Scholarship goes to Jason Collard. That concludes our ceremony, but before we go, I do want to echo some of the things that have been said by our speakers. In particular, I want to go back to some of the remarks made by Gerald Taggart, the current president of the Law Society of Saskatchewan, and indicate that I firmly agree with him that the COVID pandemic provides an opportunity, and you shouldn't be worried about your futures or the future of the legal profession. And to echo Brad Berg's comments about adaptability, as we've seen and as Brad talked about in his remarks, the profession has shown a significant ability to pivot, to adapt to the use of new technology and to deal with the circumstances in which we find ourselves. That's one of the skills you've used to get yourself here, and one of the skills you will need. And you are going to be the first generation of post-COVID lawyers who will have an adaptability and have that resilience because you've come through a unique experience that nobody else will have come through in the practice of law and in the profession of law, and you'll be ready to adapt. I firmly believe that the legal profession is going to look very, very different in the next 10 or 20 years from what it did pre-COVID, and you will be at the vanguard of that change, and you will have the skills and the adaptability and the authenticity and the resilience to bring about those changes and to shape the profession the ways you wish to shape it. So don't be worried about your future. You have 3 years of hard work ahead of you in law school to focus on, and our faculty and professors and alumni and your fellow classmates and your families and your support networks will guide you through those 3 years. So focus on that for now. And also, please, one of the most important things I need to say to you is focus on your own health as well. Make sure you talk to people. If you're struggling, if you're having a hard time, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to us at the college. We're here to help you. We're here to be your support through 3 years. You've worked incredibly hard to get here, and we want to make sure that we take care of you for the next 3 years. I would love to have had this room full of people, and we would have been shouting and cheering, and people would have been laughing at my jokes. But sadly, that's not going to happen this year. But you are part of the College of Law community now. There are thousands and thousands of alumni who will read about you in the Alumni magazine and will hear about the great things that you achieve over the next 3 years. You are part of our community. You will always be part of the University of Saskatchewan College of Law community. And even though the circumstances are different this year, I want you to remember that. Also, when you do get back and to come into the College of Law building, remember what 108 years of graduating classes have gone through. If you go around the college building, we have a photograph of all the graduates of every single class from 1912, the composite photograph. And of course, if you look at the classes, particularly between 1939 and 1945, you'll see those classes are very small. And you will see that there are, in one of our moot courtrooms, there is a wall display which commemorates those veterans and law students who lost their lives during both world wars. And so remember that this college and society and lawyers and the legal profession and people from Saskatchewan and elsewhere have gone through great trials and tribulations. But the college has endured, the legal profession has endured, and society has endured, and you will too. So these are difficult times, and it's a very unusual start to your law school career, but we have been through this, people have been through this, and we will get through it with you as a community. And when we do get finally to come together, we'll have a very, very big party, I promise you of that. So we can look forward to that. Before I go, I want to thank all of our speakers and alumni representatives, and again, a particular word of thanks to Brad Berg, our keynote speaker. As you can see, thanks again to all the alumni representatives and speakers. I also want to thank Katie Richard, Sarah Trefiak, and the rest of our staff for planning this ceremony, as well as the good gentlemen here from Media Productions for their expertise in putting a live event together for us. I also want to thank all the family and friends for tuning in to witness this auspicious and significant occasion. And of course, thank you to you, the first-year students, for participating today. Before we conclude and break off into our small online groups, I want to just say what a wonderful this ceremony it is, despite it not being an in-person event. It's the beginning of a long journey. It's going to be a hard journey, but these events and these milestones are worth acknowledging. Again, you've done very well to get here, and you should be proud. And we do want to see you here in 3 years' time when I hand you a piece of paper in person that says you now have a JD degree from the College of Law at the University of Saskatchewan. Again, you're joining a wonderful community of law alumni and students across the country. And this place will change your life for the better if you take the opportunity. It will make you a better person, a stronger person, and you will go on to do great things if you work cooperatively, rely on each other, and be a good community citizen. If you embrace this opportunity, you will go on to serve your community and your clients well, and this college will be proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen, one last time, a welcome to the class of 2023, and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.